Welcome to today's Explainer. Look, we're tackling a topic today that affects absolutely everyone: money. Now, most of us just assume that the golden ticket to financial freedom is landing a massive paycheck, right? We think, hey, if you make a huge salary, you are completely set for life. Well, actually, scratch that. It's not exactly true. So let's dive into this, because today we are breaking down 10 specific disciplines for lasting wealth. We're going to look at the daily routines and choices that actually build wealth rather than just chasing a higher income.
What if I told you that earning more won't automatically make you rich? I know, it sounds totally counterintuitive, but the data on this is incredibly clear. There are literally millions of Americans right now making over 100 grand a year, and yet they're still living paycheck to paycheck. It's wild. The difference between those who build lasting wealth and those who are constantly stressing about money, it isn't their income, it's their habits. So today we're going to explore 10 specific money habits that are quietly keeping people broke, and exactly how you can avoid them.
Here is our roadmap for this explainer. We've grouped these 10 disciplines into 5 core areas: the income illusion, escaping the spending trap, building your financial foundation, fueling your wealth engine, and finally, the true wealth mindset. Let's get right into it.
Starting off with Section 1, the income illusion.
This brings us to our very first habit we need to break, which is living beyond your means. The absolute golden rule of wealth is simply keeping your lifestyle below your income. But, you know what usually happens? You get a raise at work, and suddenly that perfectly fine car just isn't quite good enough anymore. Or you decide you absolutely deserve a much bigger house. This is what we call lifestyle creep, and it is a massive trap. Instead of investing that extra money, it just evaporates into fancier things. True wealth is built by resisting that urge, you know? It's about maintaining a clear gap between what you earn and what you actually consume.
Moving right along to Section 2, escaping the spending trap.
That leads us straight into our second major pitfall: confusing the appearance of wealth with actual wealth. Buying luxury cars, designer clothes, all the expensive gadgets, it creates this whole illusion of being rich. But true wealth? It's often totally invisible. It's really about building assets and living simply. In fact, many financially successful people live way more modestly than you'd ever expect. They prefer owning real estate or index funds over wearing a flashy watch. They focus all their energy on building true assets, not just keeping up appearances. And that brings us to a third major spending trap: emotional spending. I mean, we've all been there, right? Shopping when you're stressed out, bored, or just unhappy is a really quick way to go broke. So the absolutely crucial thing here is having a system to stop it. Try this simple 3-step rule. 1. Notice the impulse to purchase. 2. Force yourself to wait 24 hours. Just sleep on it. 3. Reevaluate. More often than not, that overwhelming, burning desire to buy will completely vanish. Small, disciplined decisions like implementing this 24-hour rule can literally save you thousands of dollars over time.
Okay, now that we've plugged the holes in our spending, it's time for Section 3, building your financial foundation.
There is a great saying I absolutely love: tell your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. This directly targets a fourth really destructive habit: ignoring a budget. A lot of people hear the word budget and they immediately think of a straitjacket, like it's a punishment. But a budget isn't a restriction at all. It is literally your roadmap to financial freedom. Think of it as your strategic plan for your cash.
Taking control actually just comes down to 3 simple, totally non-negotiable habits. You need to track your income, track your expenses, and track your savings every single month. By monitoring just these 3 metrics, you remove all the guesswork and take complete control of your financial foundation. It really, truly is that straightforward.
Now, once you have a budget, you have to address our 5th habit: operating without an emergency fund. Look, life is completely unpredictable. Cars break down, medical bills pop up out of nowhere, or a job loss happens when you least expect it. 3 to 6, that right there is the magic number. You need 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up. Without this buffer, one bad day, just one, can send you straight into a credit card debt spiral.
And speaking of credit cards, our 6th trap is using them without a plan. The rule here is super simple. Always spend only what you can afford to pay back immediately. Credit cards are incredibly useful tools, for sure, but only if they are paid in full every single month. High-interest debt is basically like quicksand. It grows so quickly that it can take years, sometimes even decades, to undo if you aren't careful.
All right, we've got our defense set up. Now let's shift our focus in Section 4 to playing offense, fueling your wealth engine. A 7th massive roadblock to wealth is depending on just one income source, putting all your eggs in one basket, right? The solution? Multiple income streams.
If you rely entirely on a single paycheck and you happen to lose your job, your financial life instantly goes into crisis mode. Building additional streams is all about reducing that stress and providing yourself with a really sturdy safety net of security.
And hey, this doesn't mean you need to go out and get 5 full-time jobs. Not at all. You could freelance in your spare time, put your money to work through investing, create a digital product, or even just start a small side hustle. Cultivating these multiple streams is exactly what provides true financial security and aggressively accelerates that wealth engine of yours.
Now, an eighth habit, and honestly, arguably the biggest mistake people make on offense, is waiting way too long to start investing. Time is literally the most powerful wealth-building tool you possess. So many people wait until they are much older, thinking they need some massive lump sum of cash just to begin. But thanks to the magic of compound interest, even tiny amounts, if invested consistently, can snowball into an absolute fortune over a few decades. Starting early matters so much more than how much you start with.
Let's move into our final structural section, the true wealth mindset.
Our 9th toxic habit to break is deciding you are somehow done learning about money. Think about it for a second. Schools teach us complex math and science, but they completely skip over personal finance. So it is entirely on you. Consider this your lifelong curriculum. You need to actively read books, listen to podcasts, and intentionally study investing, budgeting, taxes, and retirement planning. That financial literacy, it pays dividends for the rest of your life.
And that brings us to the final 10th hurdle, the myth that rich people are just lucky. Sure, luck exists, but for the vast majority, wealth is the result of years of consistent saving, investing, and disciplined decision-making. Most financially successful people build their wealth through routine. It's a formula, guys, not a roll of the dice. Your daily financial choices are exactly what shape your future. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to remember this one core truth. You do absolutely not need a 6-figure salary to become financially secure. What you actually need are smart habits, the patience to let time work for you, and the consistency to stick to your plan. If you mastered these 3 traits, lasting wealth is 100% within your reach. I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder today. Which of these habits surprised you the most? Were you maybe a little guilty of emotional spending, or perhaps holding off on investing? Let me know. Leave a comment down below. And hey, if you found this explainer helpful, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who is looking to improve their own financial future. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.